Okay, so here we are, War of the Ring, about ready to start. Forgot to mention the Gollum character. Control of Gollum switches throughout the game. I don't know where he starts. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You roll a die, see which way he goes. I don't know how it's determined. This is one of those games that got a lot of votes over on my thread, and I don't know if I would have ever picked it up and played it again if it hadn't. So when I guess I gotta look up the Gollum roll and see where he goes. I don't know. I'm sure he's in the character. The Fellowship player holds his card at the beginning of the game and controls him normally, but no, there's a die roll. Control of Gollum table gets rolled on. And there's a -1 because the Fellowship controls him right now. And he remains in Fellowship control. For whatever that means. Nobody's removing the ring. I ought to give that to Frodo right off the bat. And now the Dark Power player gets to pull an event. Ooh. Saruman summons Gandalf. Now this is something you want to do as the Dark Power player. And I'm going to play it immediately. And roll the die. This is one of the few times that it's useful. 6. Gandalf's captured at Isengard. Now, this is actually a cool event. Now, normally, Gandalf supposedly has already come out. I thought I had an extra Gandalf in there. There's a special counter for Gandalf the White. I thought I had a counter out there for anyway, in the story, the Council of Elrond is going on, and Gandalf's there for that, and he's escaped from Isengard. Well, here, oops, Gandalf's there a little later than normal, and now, in much of these things, it doesn't clearly tell you everything you need to know on the card. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to look and find yourself the event card that says what's going to happen. Gandalf's on Isengard. And he has to escape. And I think that can only be done with eagles. So Gandalf is now stuck down in Isengard and isn't really a Fellowship character anymore until he can get away from there again. So that kind of is a nice way to start things off for the Dark Power player. Now the Fellowship player can't draw this. That was played rather than discarded. He has this Storms. He doesn't want to play that. In fact, what he'd like to do is be able to go through the Misty Passes, but that requires a card to have a chance of doing, which means, at least I think it does, you gotta look these things, all these little special bits here. So, that if you've played it recently, and I haven't played it in many, many years. Alright, well, I'll try to look for that and see if I can find... Oh, here. Yeah, so you can't go through the Misty Passes normally without a card. So the Fellowship has to figure out a way to get around there without that card. Alright, and let's get started with the actual play then, I guess. We're in the search phase. There's no search in Rivendell. So I'm going to forego even drawing, I think. I think there's no search in Rivendell. Damned if I remember. I guess I had to look something up and try to play this game as though I know the rules somewhat now and then. Alright, well, I'll try to fake this anyway. One thing I have to do is calculate those shadow points. Let me get those out. So they're at a minimum, what was that? 7 plus 1 gives them 8, I guess, points. Now I get to draw one search card, and I'm wrong, they do get to search there. And Erigian is not on here, so I can't actually search. And we go on to something else. Probably the Fellowship player turn. You know, I actually did read these not long ago. Over the last couple days, I've had a hard time starting the game and kind of forgot a little bit. But the truth is, I'm just not terribly in the mood to play this. Only doing it because of the voting. You know, I mean, it's not like I looked at the voting and said, I can do that. I just played with my wife Wizards. Trying to find that sucker over here somewhere. I don't know. She was totally enthralled by it. I don't see... Oh, there it is. Down here. An old Avalon Hill game. First time I've ever played it. And I didn't rate it well, but it put me kind of in a fantasy mood. And I said, okay, I can do this. Well, I probably shouldn't have. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get into this a little bit more if I can keep paging through and finally find the sequence of play, which is never where I want it to be. Here we go. This is... Here's why. Okay, so we're on the Fellowship player turn. I can't escape with Gandalf without the Eagles card. He's boned. So I have to take the regular turn. And here's the thing. I can't get through the passes. Cutting up this way is hard. Oh, I have these magic cards. We looked at them a moment ago. Andorral we definitely want to give to our friend, if I can find him, Aragorn, because it gives him a bonus. It adds to his morale instead of just his... Now, these are hidden in, you know, the actual two-player game, but it's easier for me to play them out this way. I'll give Frodo Sting more because... And I'll give Sam Galadriel's Light. And Shadowfax doesn't help a hell of a lot, but I'll give that to Aragorn. So the thing here is that I don't have a lot of options of where to go. Shadowfax, I think, isn't allowed to go through the Mines of Moria. I don't remember. Guess we'll have to look that special rule up. And this is one of the problems with this kind of game where there's all these different things, unlike, say, in the CDGs where they tend to get most of the rules on a card. Here, they've not gotten a good job at this. I think you can't bring horses through Moria. That may be a different game, though. Maybe Fellowship of the Ring. So, I have to look under magic cards and see if I can find him. He can be moved up to 8. A hobbit cannot possess him, but he can be carried. He can never enter any impassable terrain or tunnel. There we go. Which means, since I have Shadowfax, I'm kind of hosed into not necessarily wanting to go through here. What does that mean? Damned if I know. I think I want to split the Fellowship right away. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Legolas and Merry the horse. Now, this becomes one of the pains of the game. Actually, let's give it to Boromir. Because Boromir can seize the ring. And he can take it. Now, Boromir's kind of a cool dude. But he can take it from the ring bearer. Which may or may not be a good thing. We'll send Boromir and Merry up this way. And the rest of the stack is going to set itself towards moving towards Moria. Now they've got a movement, I believe, of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have enough movement to go here, but I'm going to shoot up north to get to Thranduil's palace and see if I can pick up, because there's a magic item there. And let's see, we've got a, what is this, a fort or something. That's only +1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much do rivers cost? 6, 7, 8. And we're working our way around the north to try to gather things up. Best choice? I don't know. It's never clear to me what you should do in this. Well, that's the fellowship part of the turn. Let's go over to the baddies and our shadow point use. So, one thing is, I can't move anything. I can't move Saruman, I can't move Sauron. All I have to move are Nazgul. And in order to move my Nazgul, I have to pay shadow points. I have 8. Well, 8 shadow points it is, and I'm dumping them all in Moria. And going to make that a difficult place to go through. That may convince the Fellowship not to move through there. We don't know. I think they're allowed to jump in there. I could look up the Nazgul rules and see if they have special rules that prevent them from being placed in a tunnel. I can't imagine that they would. Now here's the thing. The evil player has the right to look here at the gates of Moria. And he looks at that and says, I have to prevent them. That's why he's putting that pile here. Is the Fellowship going to try to risk it? I don't know. We'll see. But now we move the game turn indication phase forward. And I'm going to load this one up and come back on the second turn. See what happens. Maybe we'll see some combat or something. One thing we'll see is the second turn is mobilization turn for Saruman and Isengard, and he'll be able to come into play there.